Joining me now on Texans radio, linebackers coach Miles Smith. First of all, coach, I say this and I say this with all due respect. Welcome to Houston. How's it feel to be a Houston Texan?
Couldn't be happier about it. I'm still getting used to the weather a little bit, a little more humid than I'm used to, but very ecstatic to be here.
Now, I know your dad is from Texas, so coming back for him, that's a pretty cool thing. But where does Texas kind of fit in your life? Have you spent any time here? What's it feel like to be here to Houston? Is this your first real allotment of time here in Houston?
Yes. I've never lived here. However, because I've had so much family here, every year we know that we were taking a trip down to East Texas. So been around generally in the Texas area, but first time I've actually been able to, put my roots down.
Well, I'm glad you're here and glad you got the linebackers. And coach, let's talk about that group. Let's talk in general just about the linebacking group. You're going from the Texas 3-4 last year to a 4-3 this year. What does that mean for your linebacker group as far as changes? And I know there have been a lot of changes in personnel, but there obviously are some holdovers. But what's the biggest change for them going from one scheme, a 3-4, to a 4-3?
In the end, I don't think there's a whole lot of major changes. Football is still football. We might call things different positions, but in the end, we still have the same goal, see ball, get ball. So I don't think there's a whole lot of huge changes. Schematically, I think there are a couple different deals there where, we're not going to be blitzing as much maybe and some things like that. But as a whole, I don't think there's a whole lot of difference.
When you come into a new situation, coach, and I asked this about Coach Camp, I asked this of Coach Camp, and you're totally new to the situation. When you took over, did you want to have a complete clean slate when you saw these guys? Didn't spend a lot of time with the film, or did you want to dive into the film and see what was already there and what you were working with? How did you kind of approach the offseason as you looked at the group you were about to coach?
Well, the first thing you have to do is, just dive into what's happened in the past. We needed to evaluate the players that we had before we made any additional decisions from there. The cupboard, to say the least, was not bare here. Right. So the first thing we need to do is see who we had, and then we just need to find some other pieces to fit in. But and then you definitely have to start off with what you had before you got here.
One guy that remains is Zach Cunningham, a guy that's had a lot of tackles, which, Coach, sometimes I say tackles are an overrated stat, but he's had a lot of tackles and he's been around here for a while. What does Zach mean to this defense in 2021 and beyond?
Zach is a special football player. He's able to do a lot of things that, quite frankly, a lot of other linebackers can't do. So I think he's going to have a huge impact on what we do going forward. Obviously, his stats are what they are. Kind of agree with you a little bit. I think tackles sometimes could be a little overrated. But as a whole, I think he has shown that he's as talented as any other linebacker in the NFL. So for us going forward, it's nice to have a piece in place that you really could depend on like him.
Coach, I don't know if you've set goals for, hey, we want to be a top 10 defense, or we want to be this, or we want to be that. But I would imagine that you have probably been beaten over the head with the results of last year from a turnover perspective, because it wasn't pretty last year from a turnover perspective. I know sometimes turnovers are a product of luck, sometimes preparation, opportunity, all that kind of thing. When it comes to turnovers, Coach, what's your thought? And is it something you can work on? Is it something you can emphasize? Is it something that you can improve on? Or is it really just a product of luck and opportunity?
To start off, I'm going to say we don't even call them turnovers. These are takeaways. And I think that kind of gives you the mentality that we go into it. Takeaways don't happen by luck, by chance. It has to be a mindset on every given play. The goal of every play is to score. And the only way to score is to take the ball away. So whether we're on offense, we're on defense, we're on special teams, that goal stays the same. And I think as long as we as coaches coach it up every single play in practice, every rep, we place that importance on it, naturally the takeaways are going to come. And I think our history has proven that.
I love that answer, Coach. That's the best answer I've gotten today. I absolutely love it. I do that a lot. I refer to them as turnovers, but you're right. There absolutely are takeaways because you're going and doing it. You're taking away. I love that answer. Similar question. The run defense last year, not very good. What's the biggest thing that's got to change in your group to be better against the run games? And obviously 6 of our games are against 3 of the better run games in the NFL, in Jacksonville, Indianapolis, and Tennessee. What's the biggest thing that's got to happen to help the linebackers and the entire defense be better against the run?
I don't know as much of what's happened in the past because, since I've gotten here, I'm just looking at what we're going to do in the future.
Right,
what I do know is that as a defense, we're going to run our butts off to the football. In the end, there's not a whole lot of difference in schemes and what people are trying to do. I think the biggest difference that some teams have with others is just the simple things, the fundamentals. Run to the ball, be fundamentally sound. And if you do those things, ultimately the stats are going to show it.
All right, I got to ask this. For people that don't know, your dad is Lovie Smith. He's a defensive coordinator. I grew up with also a dad as a coach, but I never coached with him. And I guarantee you at some point we would have thrown hands on the sideline knowing my dad and myself. What is it like to coach with your dad?
In the end, I'm hesitating a little bit because I don't really think of it as me coaching with my dad.
Yeah.
I think of it as me coaching with a man who has a lot of football knowledge to give. And I try to take as much advantage of it day after day, just trying to learn as much football from him as possible. We're blessed to be around a lot of different good football coaches around this building. And he's one of those. He's seen a lot of football, and I'm just trying to learn from all the things that he has learned over the years.
That's as good an answer and as PC an answer as you could have given me, Coach. I love it. One last thing. You spent the last few years in the college game at University of Illinois. College game different from the NFL game. Some of the things you can do, hash marks, 3 yards downfield for offensive linemen, which I know for defensive coaches just makes you pull your hair out. But because some of that stuff is moving towards the NFL, I would imagine there's some crossover that can help you. How do you feel like the college game and being in the college game will help you moving forward and move back into the NFL?
Well, as we're seeing with the evolution of offensive football, a lot of the college aspects are now, they're migrating to the NFL. So I think our defense as a whole has been able to make certain adjustments over the past couple of years that are going to play a little bit more importance going forward. A lot of the option things, stuff like that, we've been able to develop some rules to deal with those where now when they eventually come up in the NFL, we're going to be ready for them.
Coach, I can't thank you enough for your time, my friend. Thank you very much and best of luck this year.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to know when we post new content.